Greetings, fam. This is Rom Wills about that business. Scouting locations for retail businesses. Yeah, yo. You know what? And I'm gonna do a video. It'd be a major video on the retail industry, which is actually not very good. Not very good, at least for the big stores. But I would put forth the argument: people still buy things, and if you have like you in business, you saved up enough money, and you decide, hey, I want to open up a retail store, there's still opportunity depending on whether you follow the advice I'm about to give, right? Because people still going out, people still will buy stuff from stores. Like, the question is what you're selling. Now, say you have a product, right? You think, hey, you know what? I can sell this. I can like open up a kiosk or a small store at a local mall, right? So there's some things you have to consider, some basics. And I ain't talking about the business stuff, the licenses and all of that. Like I said, there's plenty of information out there for that. And in fact, depending on the jurisdiction, they'll even guide you through it. Because after all, they're getting a cut. So they're going to make it easy for you, really. Well, except for one jurisdiction. I'm not going to call their name. But personally, unless they change something, I'll never do business. And I'll never register a business in that particular jurisdiction. I ain't going to say which one. But most jurisdictions, they make it easy for you. So let's get that out the way. All right, so say you have... All right, let me use an example. A common example: shirts, t-shirts. For whatever reason, that's actually a good business because people always got to wear clothes. People wear t-shirts like crazy. So, okay, say you got a good design, you put it on a t-shirt. You know, you've done some vending, right? And, you know, you got an online presence. And you're making a good buck, but you're thinking, hey, you know what? I'd like to have a little store. I think I can have a little clothing store selling my stuff. Okay, fine. This is what you do. And like I said, this ain't gonna be a major treatise, but it's just some common sense things to do first. First of all, check out all the local malls in your area. Check out all the local malls. The first thing you want to do is pay attention to think about your product and then pay attention to the clientele. This is very important. Who are you trying to sell to? Think about it. You got some shirts. Okay, who's this going to apply to? Is this are you going to get some street type of folks who going to buy it, or some very poor folks who, you know, want it, or are you going to get some upper class folks who want it? Think about which race of people you're dealing with. Now that's serious. That's part of it. I mean, you can't like overlook anything. So it's like, are you trying to sell to mostly black folks? Are you trying to sell mostly to white folks? Or depending on your area, Hispanic folks? Very important. Also, what are you selling? What type of t-shirt? Do you have religious themed t-shirts? Say it's for sake of argument, say you got some t-shirts with some gospel sayings on it. It's very Christian centered. All right. Is a mall you going to or checking out, do they have a lot of people there who might go to church? And then if they go to church, are they going to buy something like this? And you got to look at this. You got to think about it. Now, one of the most important things you're going to do, not just check out the clientele, but you need to hit that mall up or wherever you want to set up business at different times. Like, don't think about it and then go sign. Don't think, okay, I'm gonna get a kiosk and then go to the mall the next day, sign a lease for a space, and then think everything be hokey dory because you might sign the lease for the wrong place. Or this is what some people might do and they end up failing. You know, they'll come to the mall on one day, or yeah, it may be a busy Saturday or something, right? And they'll think, oh man, it's a great crowd and stuff. There's a great crowd, all these people. I know I can make plenty of money. And you know, they sign that lease, and then what'll happen is during the week they find out that mall is very empty. And people just come on the weekends because of the nature of the community. It could be a bedroom community. And when I say a bedroom community, basically people live in that community, but they don't really work in that community. Because usually in like many suburbs, that's just where some people just happen to live, but they work in the city. So they don't spend any time in that area during the week, other than at a grocery store. And that's something else with the grocery store I'll bring up in a second. But you got to walk with the mall. You have to walk through at different times. And I learned this from a dude who I used to do book signings for. He had a bookstore. So you understand, a lot of stuff I'm giving you, very little of it is actually coming from a book. This is actually talking to actual business owners. Because if I meet a business owner, I ask a lot of questions. Now, one thing this bookstore owner told me, and I'm telling you, walk through that mall at different times. Go through at different times. And when I say different times, go through when that mall first opened, when you probably got a bunch of mall workers. Go through late at night. You know, if you can, I say, if you can afford to, if you can do a 2-month period, or at least a month, and hopefully there's like a major holiday during that month. Go on that major holiday. Go at weird times. Go when school's not in session. Go when it is in session. See who's coming through there. You know, you want to know. And then as I started off, you want to note what type of people going through there at those times. Because even the mall, you could have, like, in the mornings, you have a bunch of old folks and some women with some babies pushing carriages around. And then in the evening, have a bunch of kids hanging out. You gotta gauge all of that. Now, I had mentioned earlier about a grocery store. If you got some malls, they got grocery stores, which are anchors. That's very important to know the anchor of your mall. If you're going to set up at a mall, if you're going to set up a kiosk or a store, what's the anchor? And the anchor stores are usually larger stores, like a department store or maybe a grocery store where people are always coming. Personally, one of the busiest malls I've seen, the major anchor was a grocery store. Like, when I think back, and I worked at this mall, I'm hard pressed to think what else was there that was major. But that was major because people are always coming. And see, that's a good traffic driver. You get somebody coming through, they looking for food, they might walk by your thing. So you want to look at the anchor of your mall. You want to look at, and like, what type of store it is. You might even want to like keep up on on the internet or the newspapers on how well that store is doing. You have a lot of major department stores closing. You know, you might want to check on the financial health of like whatever the anchor is. Now, if it's like go walk through that store too. Now, if it's a major department store or even a grocery store that's large, and you walking through there at different times and they don't hardly have any people in there, or my favorite, like especially with grocery stores, how many clerks are working? If you only got 2 clerks working in this grocery store, like you might not want to set up there. Because if people aren't coming to this major thing, they ain't gonna come to the mall. So you want to keep up with all of that and look at the clientele there. And also, if you can, like, a favorable location is near the anchor store. Now, say you have a busy anchor store, you might have to pay a little bit extra, but you might want to say, okay, how can I maneuver? And even then you want to think, all right, they got me in a hallway, or major hallway leading to the store or something. Do people actually come this way? You want to think about all that, the angles. You want to think about who you next to. You know, you want to walk through. Like if you say, all right, you done been through, you determine, okay, got a good anchor there. There's a good anchor. You got the crowd you want to market to. All right. Where they trying to have me set up? See, that's when then you talking with mall management then. And you need to like check out whatever's around you. You know, and just in general, check out the other little stores in there. Well, first of all, make sure somebody ain't selling the same product. You know, I mean, I use the example of t-shirts, but you know, a lot of times people might say, well, I got some unique jewelry. All right. You need to make sure. And sometimes in some malls, they won't let you sell anything similar to what's already there. So you got to check all that out. And even when you set up, well, I'll do another video on just creating a customer base. On doing that. I'll do another video on that. I think that'll be the part 2, creating a base. But you want to check everything out before you do anything else. All right? So, anyway, that's it. Think about what I'm saying. And let's go out there and make that money.